こんにちは、上野です。いつも動画をご覧になっていただき誠にありがとうございます。最近ですね、ちらほら、質問が来るので、ちょっとユニークな質問が一つ来たので、それを拾ってみたいと思います。それとね、継続的に聖書が言うところの愛って何ですかっていう質問が、これはですね、もう結構頻繁に来るんですよ。なので、その辺と、もう一つは、自分を無条件に愛すとはどういうことなんでしょうかって、それを聞いたんですけれども、皆さんその辺をどのようにお考えですかっていう質問も来てたんですね。で、これに対して絶妙な答えができる動画が1本あるので、そちらをちょっと10分ぐらいあるんですけれども、見ていただけたらと思います。本当に自分を無条件に愛すってこれ素晴らしい言葉ですよね。で、これ動画の後半でこの自分を無条件に愛すということに関しては、話がされてますので、すごくね、これね、興味深い内容ですので、また私の本当にこう動画に訪れてくださる方には、最高級のこのマインドの情報というのを私はお届けしたいと切に願ってますので、それにおいてはですね、もう本当にふさわしい動画だと思いますので、今日はこちらをご提供させていただきます。
And the good always supersedes the right. And in fact, the person who's living their life between right and wrong, they're probably avoiding the deeper conversation of the good. And it's just lower level thinking.
Yes.
You know how paralyzing it is to spend your whole life going, is this right or wrong? Rather than going, am I doing the most good that I'm capable of?
What questions should we be asking ourselves in order to get to a higher level of thinking?
Is this motivated by love? I mean, that's the most important question to ask. Is this motivated by love?
Yeah.
And, you know,
what are most of us motivated by in the world?
So many different things. we're both simple and complex creatures, right?
Yeah.
You know, I do think there's some driving intrinsics in all of us. All of us have a longing to be loved,
yes,
to be connected, for intimacy, and that can have a light and a darkness to it. You know, and so when we're motivated,
yeah,
right?
I know that feeling.
Right, you know, and so we need to realize we're always going to have this intrinsic craving for intimacy, for connection, for love, for relationship, and we have a whole universe of language for it. Family, friendships, community, church, all that's the language of relationship, connection, of intimacy. And intimacy is the thing we long for most and fear the most. And so it becomes, for so many of us, the crucible.
Why are we so afraid of intimacy?
Because we don't know if anyone can love us for our true self.
Oh, man, that's true.
Right.
For all the darkness, all the bad, the shame, the guilt, the insecurity, all that, right?
By the way, Louis, this is going to be my one Jesus moment in the middle of this whole conversation. This is why Jesus is so unique. He knows you completely and loves you completely. And
all your flaws, all the bad parts, everything.
Yeah, it's only a self-delusion that you're revealing yourself to God piece by piece. If there is a God, he knows you completely.
Right.
And here, to me, what is so mind-blowing, the one person who knows you completely loves you unconditionally. Every other relationship is sort of a dance.
Right.
It's a salsa.
Yes.
You're revealing the part of yourself that you feel is most lovable, and slowly disclosing the part of you that you don't know can be loved, and hiding the part of you that you're certain cannot ever be loved, because you can't even love yourself in that. And so we try to find intimacy without letting a person to our deepest selves. Because how can you believe someone can love you at your deepest self when you can't even love yourself at your deepest self?
Snap. So how do we learn how to love ourselves fully with all the darkness that we feel inside of us?
See, in my life, the only solution I found was Jesus. Was when I came to a conviction that I was loved without condition. And that God had stepped into human history, taken on flesh and blood, died for me, rose from the dead, and sees me completely and holds none of it against me, and loves me without reservation. It's the most liberating space in the world, you know, because I'm realistic. I know there are things I could do that could cost me my wife's love.
Right.
I've been married 38 years.
Yeah. You do something that's
I
out
know
of
this.
integrity with your agreement to the marriage, then
And I don't think I think her love is deep and profound. I have 2 kids, and I imagine they would always love me, but I imagine there's an aspect of that love that could be devastated if I did certain things.
Yeah, maybe they won't like you as much.
Yeah, or they won't respect me, or or maybe they kind of the kind of love we love you, but we can't be with you.
Right. Yeah, we love you from afar.
Yeah, but the thing about who Jesus is I'm going to love you and I'm going to stick with you, and I'm going to see you through this, and I'm going to help you become a different person. And for me, that became a life defining relationship where I now have a relationship with someone who does not define me by my worst moments, but defines me in a sense by my best moments, even moments I have not yet had. And I think that the motivation of that is love. And I would like to think there's nothing my wife could ever do that could cost me loving her. But I know that I have my human limitations probably, And but I do think that the more I love like Jesus loved, the more all-encompassing that love is. So if I can love the way Jesus loves, I can love my wife through anything she ever does.
Wow.
I can love my children through anything they ever do. I can love you through anything you ever do. And it doesn't mean that you always trust, because trust has to be earned. But love is supposed to be a gift. And it's not a gift that we seem that readily capable of giving, But I do
Trust
think
or love?
Love. I think that trust takes us a long time.
Why don't we give love abundantly?
Maybe it's source material, and maybe we've never experienced love unconditionally, and we're not actually the principal source of love. That God is the principal source of love, and that when we then connect to the principal source of love, then that love becomes limitless.
Is it possible to love ourselves unconditionally, even if we keep doing things that we know are hurting to other people or hurtful to ourselves or breaking our agreements? Is it possible to say, well, I still love myself unconditionally, even though I did this bad and wrong?
It's funny because I was just at this event where everyone paid $100,000 to be there.
With Joel and Dan, right?
It's 100 million mastermind. Yes. Everybody's company has to make minimally $100 million and everything. So I'm in a conversation with this guy during one of the breaks, and he said, we need to realize that we're all gods.
We're all gods.
We're all gods, and he said, and that our principal responsibility is to love ourselves unconditionally. And I looked at him, and he was a really good-looking, guy, probably 6'4", 230, jacked, handsome.
Yeah.
If anybody should love themselves unconditionally, it probably would be him, right? Making $100 million a year.
Yeah.
And I looked at him, I said, your principal responsibility is to love yourself unconditionally because you're a God. He said, yes. I said, how's that going? He said, not well. And this is the reality is, no one knows you in this space of the human experience better than you. So to love yourself unconditionally becomes an impossibility because you know the turmoil inside of yourself. But once you understand your value isn't based on yourself, it's based on God's initiation of you, that you're designed in the image and likeness of God. You're created by God's intention. You are designed by love, for love. Then now you're not the source of that unconditional love. And so in that sense, Lewis, what I'd say is that you can love yourself unconditionally when you realize that you didn't decide that value, that God decided that value.
Interesting.
And because we're too fickle.
Yeah.
On Tuesday, I love myself. On Wednesday, I hate myself. On Thursday, I'm awesome. On Friday, I'm a failure.
Yeah.
And I do not want the basis of my own unconditional love being based on me.
Sure.
I want it based on someone who sees me completely and still loves me unconditionally.